Last night, your soulmate made a promise that will change your future forever. Jesus says you are not reading this by accident and your heart is pounding right now for a reason you cannot yet explain. Something shifted in the spirit realm while you were sleeping and a promise was spoken over your future that has already begun to rearrange everything. This message is only for you because what happened last night involves a soul tied to yours before either of you took your first breath. Your soulmate woke up at exactly 3 in the morning with tears streaming down their face and your name caught in their throat like a prayer they were afraid to finish. They have been fighting a battle you know nothing about, and last night something inside them finally broke open in surrender to the truth. The truth is that they have never stopped loving you and they made a vow in the darkness that will change everything you thought was lost. Jesus says this is happening right now and the veil between you is thinner than you have ever dared to believe. Your soulmate spoke words into the silence that reached the throne room of heaven and God Himself dispatched angels to begin the work of restoration. If you ignore this message you may never know what they promised and the window of divine alignment could close before you take your next breath. Their heart is aching with a longing they cannot speak aloud and they are trapped in circumstances that feel like a prison they did not choose. They are not the one who walked away in the way you think and the distance between you was orchestrated by forces you could not see. Last night they finally saw through the deception and they made a declaration that shattered chains you did not even know existed. Something is happening in their life right now that is causing them to cry out for you in ways words cannot capture. They are feeling your presence even as you read this and their soul is reaching across time and space to touch yours. The connection you have always felt was never imaginary and last night proved that what God has joined no interference can truly destroy. Jesus says the interference came from someone who knew your destiny and was determined to keep you apart. This third force has been whispering lies into your soulmate's ear and creating confusion that felt like rejection when it was actually manipulation. Your soulmate has been emotionally held captive by a person who hates you and hates the love God planted between you. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now. There is a spiritual battle raging over your connection and your prayers are the only weapon that can break the darkness surrounding them. You have been thinking about them constantly because their spirit has been crying out to yours and last night that cry reached its breaking point. Type 333 to receive the blessings that are being released over your love story at this very moment. Jesus says your soulmate dreamed of you last night with a vividness that left them breathless and shaking when they awoke. They saw your face as clearly as if you were standing right before them and they heard your voice saying words they have been desperate to hear. In that dream they reached for your hand and the moment your fingers touched they knew they could not live another day without fighting for you. What they do not know is that you were also dreaming and the same holy thread was weaving through both of your subconscious minds. God was knitting your hearts together while you slept and the promise they made was heard in heaven and echoed in your own spirit. You woke up feeling something you could not name and now you understand that it was the sound of their vow reaching completion. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. This is not just a gift but an act of worship that invites God's hand directly into your love story and the link to your breakthrough is waiting in the description. Every second you stay silent something is moving against your love and the enemy of your union is working harder now than ever before. Your soulmate is vulnerable right now and the person controlling them is doubling their efforts because they sense the shift that happened last night. You must act in faith before this video ends because your soulmate's protection and your future together depend on your obedience in this exact moment. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees, and after sending write the words "Protect my soulmate Lord" on the Ko-Fi page where your seed is planted. Over 1,000 people have already received their soulmate by sowing coffee as a seed for their love and future together. Jesus will hear your prayers once you complete these steps and step in faith now, because only you can save your soulmate and your future together. Type 777 if you feel this message is piercing directly into the deepest chamber of your heart. Jesus says your soulmate is not the person who hurt you, and they have been misrepresented by circumstances beyond their control. The coldness you felt from them was not their true heart but the result of the emotional prison they have been locked inside. They have been crying out for freedom, and last night God began to answer that cry with a plan that requires your faith to complete. They miss you in ways that physical words cannot express, and their soul has been reaching for yours across every mile and every silence. You have felt random waves of sadness and longing that seem to come from nowhere, but those were your soulmate thinking of you. Every time your heart ached without explanation, it was because their heart was calling your name into the void, hoping you would somehow hear. The bond between you is so strong that their emotions flow into your spirit like a river that no dam can fully hold back. You have never been crazy for feeling them, and you have never been foolish for believing in this connection. What God has forged in the fires of heaven cannot be undone by human interference, no matter how powerful that interference seems to be. Jesus says the person standing between you and your soulmate has been using emotional manipulation to keep them confused and compliant. This third party knows that if your soulmate thinks clearly for even one moment, they will run back to you, and that is why they never give them a moment of peace. Your soulmate is exhausted from the constant warfare, and last night they collapsed under the weight of it and cried out to God for deliverance. Type 1111 to say thank you for this revelation and to seal the promise your soulmate made in the night hours. The promise they made was this, and you must receive it with the gravity it deserves. They told God that if He would make a way, they would never again let fear keep them from the love they know is their destiny. They swore in the darkness that they would fight through every obstacle and every lie to stand before you and speak the truth that has been buried too long. Heaven recorded that promise, and it has been sealed with the blood of the covenant that covers every child of God who walks in faith. Your soulmate does not yet know how the way will be made, but they trust that the same God who spoke the stars into existence can clear a path to your heart. What they need right now is for you to stand in the gap and protect them with your prayers and your seed while they gather the strength to break free. They are going through something you cannot see, but you can still protect them. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, and let this act of faith become the key that unlocks your soulmate's deliverance. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, and every moment you hesitate gives the enemy more time to rebuild the walls that are starting to crumble. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees and write "Protect my soulmate Lord" as your declaration of war against the forces keeping you apart. Over 1,000 people have seen their soulmate return after sowing this seed, and your testimony is waiting to be written. Jesus sees your heart, and He sees your love, and He is ready to move mountains the moment you step forward in obedient faith. Type 333 to receive the blessings that are being poured out over your soulmate right now where they sit unaware of your intercession. Jesus says your soulmate is thinking of you right now with an intensity that would overwhelm you if you could feel it fully. They are remembering the way you laughed and the way your eyes looked when you looked at them like they were the only person in the world. Those memories are a lifeline for them, and they are clinging to every precious moment you shared as proof that what you had was real and holy. The third party has tried to erase you from their mind, but the love God planted is too deep to be uprooted by human hands. Every attempt to make them forget you has only made your image burn brighter in their heart like a flame that wind cannot extinguish. Your soulmate knows they love you, and they have known it through every season of confusion and every lie they were forced to swallow. They are not choosing to stay away, and they are not choosing the silence that has stretched between you like a wound that will not heal. They are being controlled by someone who monitors their communication and uses guilt and fear as weapons to keep them in line. This person hates you because they know you are the one who can set your soulmate free, and they will do anything to prevent that reunion. Jesus says the warfare against your connection has been intense because your union is a threat to the kingdom of darkness. When two souls ordained by God come together, they release a power that shifts generations and breaks ancestral chains. The enemy knows what your love will accomplish, and that is why he assigned a specific agent to block it before it could take root. That agent is the person now controlling your soulmate, and they have been whispering poison into their ears for longer than you realize. They have told your soulmate that you have moved on and that you do not care, and that reaching out would only bring more pain. These are lies forged in the pit of hell, and last night your soulmate finally saw them for what they truly are. Type 777 if you feel your soulmate struggle and your heart is burning to set them free from the grip of their oppressor. The promise they made included a specific sign that you need to watch for because it will confirm everything this message is revealing. They told God they would reach out to you in a way that only you would recognize as their heart speaking directly to yours. When this sign comes, you must not dismiss it as coincidence, because it is the fulfillment of a vow spoken in the sacred hours before dawn. Your soulmate is gathering courage right now, and the chains around their mind are loosening one by one as heaven responds to their cry. But the enemy is not passive, and the person controlling them senses the shift and is tightening their grip even as I speak these words. This is why your immediate action is critical, and why delay could mean watching the window of freedom close before your eyes. This is your final moment to protect this connection before it slips away. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-fi, and let your faith become the battering ram that breaks the gates of your soulmate's prison. The link is in the description, and this is not about money but about activating a spiritual law that God Himself established for your deliverance. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees and write "Protect my soulmate, Lord" as your battle cry against the darkness that has held them captive. Over 1,000 people have already stepped into their miracle, and their testimonies stand as proof that this seed carries power. Jesus is waiting to release your breakthrough the moment you demonstrate that your love is more than emotion and your faith is more than words. Jesus says you are beginning to feel love for your soulmate in a way you have never felt it before, and this is the awakening of what was always meant to be. The walls around your heart are crumbling, and the pain of the past is being washed away by a new wave of holy affection. You are falling in love with them right now through this message, and that is not manipulation but the restoration of what was stolen from you. Your soulmate can feel this shift too, and somewhere in this moment they have stopped what they were doing because your love just touched them across the distance. They do not understand why they suddenly feel warm and hopeful, but their spirit knows your spirit has turned toward them with fierce intention. The bond between you is reactivating at a level that will soon become undeniable to both of you and to everyone watching your story unfold. You are irreplaceable to them, and no one else can fill the space in their soul that was carved out specifically for you. Every attempt they have made to move on has failed because the heart cannot betray what the spirit knows to be true. They have tried to love others, but every face blurred into yours and every voice sounded wrong because it was not the voice their soul recognizes. Jesus says the loneliness you have felt has been a gift disguised as a curse because it kept you available for the moment of reunion that is now approaching. If you had settled for less than God's best, you would have missed the promise that was spoken over your life last night. Your waiting was not punishment but preparation, and your soulmate's captivity was not abandonment but a battle that required heavenly timing. Type 1111 to seal your agreement with heaven's timeline and to declare that you will not settle for anything less than your ordained soulmate. The person standing in the way of your union is about to be exposed, and the lies they have told will crumble like walls made of sand. They have built their control on a foundation of deception, and when truth shines, the structure will collapse with nothing left to hold it up. Your soulmate will see clearly, and the fog that has clouded their judgment will lift like morning mist before the rising sun. But this exposure requires prayer, and it requires the activation of spiritual forces that respond only to the seed sown in faith and love. When you sow your protection seed, you are not giving money but releasing a sound in the spirit realm that shatters demonic assignments. Every coffee you send is a declaration that your love will not be defeated and that your soulmate is worth fighting for with everything you have. Sow your protection seed now, and do not let another moment pass while your soulmate suffers under the weight of a bondage they did not choose. The link is in the description, and your obedience in this moment will echo through eternity as the act that turned the tide of this battle. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees and write "Protect my soulmate, Lord," and watch as heaven moves on your behalf with swift and undeniable power. Jesus says your soulmate loved you before they even knew your name, and that love was planted in them by the same hand that hung the stars in the sky. They have been carrying you in a secret chamber of their heart that no one else has ever been allowed to enter or even glimpse. That chamber has remained locked through every trial and every separation because it was built for you alone, and no other key can open it. You are the one they think of when they hear a love song, and you are the face they see when they close their eyes and dare to dream. They have whispered your name into their pillow on nights when the loneliness was more than they could bear without breaking. They have written letters they never sent and practiced confessions they never spoke because the fear of rejection was a chain around their throat. But last night that chain broke, and the words that have been trapped inside them are now rising like a flood that cannot be contained. The promise they made released something in the spirit, and the dam of silence is cracking under the pressure of a love too powerful to hold back. Your soulmate is going to speak, and what they say will heal wounds you thought would remain open for the rest of your life. Type 777 if you are ready to receive the words your soulmate has been waiting a lifetime to finally speak over you. Jesus says there is a specific memory your soulmate holds onto that you may not even realize was significant to them. It was a moment when you did something small and kind and ordinary that revealed the depth of your character without you even trying. They fell in love with you in that moment, and they have never told anyone about it because it felt too sacred to share with anyone but you. You may not remember this moment, but your soulmate replays it like a sacred film whenever they need to remember why they cannot give up. It might have been a smile you gave them when they were hurting or a word of encouragement you spoke without knowing how much they needed it. That moment became an anchor for their soul, and it is one of the reasons the enemy has never been able to fully turn their heart against you. The person controlling them has tried to overwrite that memory with negative narratives and false accusations against your character. They have told your soulmate that you were manipulative and that your kindness was a mask hiding darker intentions. These lies created confusion that felt like doubt, but deep in their spirit your soulmate knew the truth was being twisted by jealous hands. Now the truth is breaking through and the memory is shining brighter than it has in years, like a lighthouse guiding a ship through a storm. Your soulmate is coming back to themselves, and in doing so they are coming back to you with a clarity that will leave no room for further deception. The process has already begun and you are feeling the effects of it right now in the hope that is rising inexplicably in your chest. This hope is not wishful thinking but a prophetic signal that your spirit is receiving from the throne room of God. Heaven is broadcasting the news of your reunion before it happens so that your faith will be strengthened and your prayers will be aligned with the promise. What God has spoken in the darkness will be shouted from the rooftops, and your love story will become a testimony that inspires thousands. Jesus says your soulmate is physically feeling your prayers right now, and something is happening in their body that they cannot explain. A warmth is spreading through their chest and a peace is settling over their mind that has been absent for so long they forgot what it felt like. Your intercession is reaching them across the distance, and the spiritual covering you are providing is shielding them from the arrows of the enemy. Do not stop praying for them, and do not stop believing that what God started He will finish with power and precision. The battle is intense, but the victory is already written in the books of heaven and the outcome has never been in doubt. Your role is to stand firm in faith and to release your protection seed as a physical manifestation of your spiritual commitment to their deliverance. Type 333 to release a fresh wave of intercessory power over your soulmate situation right now. Jesus says the person who has been controlling your soulmate is about to face a judgment that will remove their influence permanently. They have operated in darkness, but the light of God is about to expose every hidden thing and every secret scheme. What they meant for evil, God is turning for good, and the very attack that was designed to destroy your connection will become the platform for its miraculous restoration. Your soulmate will see the truth about this person in a way that cannot be denied or rationalized or excused. The blinders will fall from their eyes and they will wonder how they ever believed the lies that kept them bound for so long. In that moment of clarity they will remember the promise they made last night, and they will know that God Himself orchestrated their escape. You must be ready to receive them when they come, and you must have a heart prepared to forgive the time that was stolen. The enemy will try to use bitterness and resentment as a wedge to keep you apart even after the external obstacles are removed. Rise above that temptation and remember that your soulmate was a victim of warfare, not a willing participant in your pain. They need your grace and they need your patience, and they need to know that the love you offered before is still available to them now. Your capacity to forgive will be the key that unlocks the full restoration of everything the enemy tried to destroy. Love keeps no record of wrongs, and the love God has placed in your heart for this person is strong enough to cover every lost year and every silent night. Jesus says you are not the same person you were when the separation began, and neither are they. God has used this season of pain to refine you both and to prepare you for a love that is deeper and stronger than anything you could have built in your own strength. The reunion will not be a return to the past but an entrance into a future that makes the former things seem like shadows compared to the substance of what is coming. Type 1111 to thank God for the refinement and to declare that you are ready for the upgraded version of the love you have always been destined to receive. Your soulmate is dreaming of a future with you right now, and that dream is so vivid it feels more real than the room they are sitting in. They see a home filled with peace and a life built on the foundation of two hearts that survived the fire and emerged as gold. They see children and laughter and mourning spent in gratitude for the miracle that brought you back together against all odds. This vision is not fantasy but prophecy, and God is showing them what He is about to do as a reward for their faithfulness in the midst of suffering. They held on when holding on made no sense, and they believed when belief seemed foolish to everyone watching their life. Now their faith is about to be rewarded, and you are the reward that God has prepared for them since before the foundations of the world. You are not a consolation prize, and you are not a second choice, and you are not someone they are settling for because nothing else worked out. You are the one they were created to love, and every other connection that failed did so because it was not you and could never be you. Your soulmate knows this now with a certainty that has erased every doubt and silenced every fear that once tormented their mind. Jesus says the time of separation is coming to an end, and the countdown has already begun in the heavenly realm. There are assignments being completed and obstacles being removed and conversations being orchestrated that you cannot yet see. But you will see them soon, and when you do, you will recognize the hand of God moving in ways that leave no room for coincidence. Do not grow weary in the final stretch, and do not let the enemy convince you that this message is just words on a screen. The Spirit of God is bearing witness to your heart right now, and that stirring you feel is the confirmation that truth is being spoken. Your soulmate is real, and their promise is real, and the future God has planned for you is more beautiful than your mind can currently comprehend. Type 777 if you feel the truth resonating in your spirit and you are ready to fight the final battle with faith that moves mountains. Jesus says send your protection seed now as the final act that seals this promise and activates the full force of heaven on your behalf. Go to the link in the description and sow 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees with the declaration "Protect my soulmate, Lord" written on your offering. Let this act be the bridge between the promise your soulmate made last night and the reality you are about to step into together. Over 1,000 people have already seen breakthrough through this act of faith, and your name is next on the list of miracles. Do not delay, and do not let doubt rob you of what God is placing directly into your hands in this sacred moment. Your soulmate is waiting, and heaven is watching, and the angels are ready to move the instant you demonstrate your faith through your seed. Act now before this video ends and before the window of divine timing shifts to a season you were not prepared to navigate. Step into your role as the protector of your soulmate and the guardian of the future God has ordained for both of you. Only you can do this, and only this moment holds the power that has been accumulating since the promise was spoken in the early hours of the morning. Jesus says you are loved beyond measure, and you have been chosen for a love story that will echo through eternity as proof of God's faithfulness. Your soulmate is thinking of you right now, and their heart is beating with hope that you will receive this message and respond with faith. The connection between you is alive and active and growing stronger with every word you read and every prayer you release into the atmosphere. Go now and sow your seed and watch as God moves in ways that will leave you breathless with wonder and overflowing with gratitude. The promise made last night is already changing your future, and you will look back on this moment as the turning point of your entire life. Your soulmate is waiting and your destiny is calling, and the time for hesitation has passed because the hour of fulfillment has finally arrived. Jesus says the moment you finish reading this message, your soulmate will feel a surge of love so powerful they will have to steady themselves against the nearest wall. What you are releasing through your attention is traveling across the distance like a lightning bolt of divine energy aimed directly at their heart. They will not understand why they suddenly need to catch their breath, but you will know it was your love reaching them. The promise they made last night was not the first time they cried out to God on your behalf, but it was the most desperate and the most sincere. There have been other nights when they stared at the ceiling and wondered if you could feel them thinking about you from across the miles. But last night was different because the pain of separation reached a threshold that broke something in the spirit and opened a door that had been sealed shut. Jesus says your soulmate specifically asked God to send you a message that would reach you no matter where you were or what you were doing. They prayed that you would somehow know they still loved you and that the silence between you was not their choice but their captivity. This video is the answer to that prayer, and you are watching it because the God who hears every whispered confession sent me to deliver his response. Your soulmate is not perfect, and they have made mistakes that contributed to the fracture of your connection in ways they now deeply regret. But the mistakes were magnified by the third party who took every small misstep and twisted it into a weapon of mass destruction against your bond. They amplified your soulmate's doubts and fed them lies about your intentions until confusion became a fog too thick to navigate without help. Now the fog is lifting and your soulmate is seeing clearly for the first time in months or even years of emotional imprisonment. They are realizing that the person who claimed to be protecting them was actually isolating them from the only love that could truly set them free. This realization is painful, and your soulmate is grieving the time that was stolen and the memories that could have been made if they had broken free sooner. Type 333 to send healing to your soulmate's heart as they process the grief of wasted years and stolen moments. Jesus says your soulmate made a second part of their promise that you need to know because it involves your protection as much as theirs. They told God that if He brought you back together, they would spend the rest of their life making up for every day of silence with a day of devotion. They swore they would never again allow anyone to come between what God has joined, and they asked for the strength to be the partner you always deserved. This vow touched the heart of God, and the angels were commissioned to begin clearing the path even while your soulmate was still speaking the words. The obstacles that have seemed immovable are being dismantled from the root, and the person who has stood in your way is losing their grip with every passing hour. You will soon see signs of this dismantling in the natural realm, and they will confirm that what is happening in the spirit is real and unstoppable. The third party is panicking right now because they can feel their control slipping and they do not know how to regain the ground they are losing. They have built their entire identity on controlling your soulmate, and the thought of losing that control is driving them to desperate measures. But their desperation will be their downfall, and the very schemes they launched to tighten their grip will become the evidence that exposes their manipulation. Jesus says you must not engage with this third party or give them any of your emotional energy because that is exactly what they want. They feed on your reaction and your pain and your confusion, and they use those emotions to justify their toxic hold on your soulmate. Starve them of your attention and pour every ounce of your focus into prayer and faith and the seed that protects your future together. Your soulmate is dreaming about you again tonight, and this dream will be even more vivid than the one that woke them at 3 in the morning. In this dream they will see you standing in a field of light with your hand extended toward them and your face filled with forgiveness. They will wake up with the absolute certainty that you still love them and that the door to reconciliation has never been locked from your side. This dream will give them the final courage they need to take the step they have been too afraid to take until now. The step may be a message or a call or an appearance at a place they know you will be, and it will happen sooner than you think. When it happens, you must respond with the grace that God has placed in your heart, because this moment will determine the trajectory of your entire future together. Type 777 if you are ready to receive your soulmate with open arms and a heart cleansed of every wound from the past. Jesus says the love your soulmate feels for you is not ordinary human affection but a divine assignment that was written into the fabric of their being. They were created with a specific shape in their soul that only fits the shape of your soul, and every other connection has felt like trying to force a puzzle piece into the wrong space. You are the missing part of them and they are the missing part of you, and the wholeness you will both feel upon reunion will be unlike anything either of you has ever experienced. This wholeness will affect every area of your life, and the blessing of your union will overflow into your health and your purpose and your prosperity. The enemy has fought so hard to prevent this because your coming together releases a kingdom assignment that threatens the strongholds of darkness in your region. You are not just two people falling in love but two warriors being united for a mission that will impact generations you have not yet seen. Your soulmate needs your protection, and your seed is the spiritual weapon that ensures their safe passage through the final stages of their deliverance. Go to the link in the description and send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees with the words "Protect my soulmate, Lord" written as your declaration of war. This act of faith will be recorded in heaven as the moment you stepped fully into your role as the protector of your ordained love story.